Hi. Before jumping into the video, I wanted to clarify quickly that there are still candidates who pass interviews with high-performing companies or even with FAANG companies in this type of job market. However, there are some fundamental shifts that you must be aware of if you're on the lookout for opportunities. Okay, let me just start by saying that opportunities are scarce, and they are scarce on purpose. Okay, so it's not as if Amazon or Microsoft cannot afford hiring more people, because if you've been following the news, Amazon has recently celebrated their 1 millionth robot as if it were their best hire ever. Okay, or Microsoft is valuated incredibly high, and this is in a context where they did mass layoffs more than once. Okay, so you must understand there are some shifts, and leadership must favor, different things, different certain aspects of the business versus the other, such as automation. Now, what's in for you from all this discussion? What if these companies aren't pushing into that direction of hiring? Well, it doesn't mean that they don't hire, because it's impossible for companies, for high-performing companies and for FAANG companies not to hire. What it means is that those opportunities will be scarce and will be harder to reach. Okay, so long story short, if you have referrals, if you have friends working there, you should really dive deeper a little bit to find those types of opportunities which are available, because there's always going to be opportunities available there, but they're not going to be made so public as previously. Okay, so also the other major benefit of having friends or building relationships to spot these opportunities is that it will be significantly easier for you to pass the screening round in these companies, which have traditionally been a gamble, okay, a pure gamble. So the main takeaway is that it's impossible. There's no opportunities for whichever company you choose, so long they're a high-performing company, but you must dive deeper into the details and get some referrals in there, because that's how most people spot and apply for these things. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and this is a lot more counterintuitive than most of you expect, is the type of people looking for jobs in this type of marketing. When opportunities are scarce, where the job market is down, or so to speak, it's an employer-driven market, it's not the best candidates who will dominate the job market. And I know this because I've also been on the other side. I've also been build an applicant tracking system, and I know during downturns, it's not the best candidates who will dominate that market. And this is super important, because if it's not the best candidates who will dominate, who will be interested to spot new opportunities, then it means there will be a trust issue, a fundamental trust issue between employers and candidates. Not as if employers would trust candidates in a good job market, but nowadays they're even more skeptical about someone being worthwhile, the offer. Okay, so if you're interviewing with companies in a downturn, you should understand that you should focus on trust more than anything else. Why is this important? Well, it's important because many of you will have a tendency to bluff. For instance, in your tell me about yourself. Okay, and what happens is that if you're not a skilled interviewer, but a skilled interviewer will spot this within the first 5 or 10 seconds of your elevator pitch, of your response. Okay, and some of you will do this because you've heard, oh yes, but I have to sell myself in a job interview and whatnot. Well, it turns out that trust is far more important than selling yourself in a job interview. And being truthful, trying to earn their trust, will be something you will want to pay particular attention to, especially in these job interviews, because again, it's not the best candidates who dominate this market. If you're wondering why wouldn't the best candidates be interested in opportunities in this market, it's because it's not profitable for them. The best candidates will like to take a more structured approach. For example, let's say, hey, I invest 1 month in interview prep. It's highly unusual for someone to invest this much in interview prep, but if you choose to do so, then you probably are not going to be happy with only one interview with one company, but you're going to be looking to interview with 5 companies to eventually land multiple offers and choose the best one. It won't always work, but the assumption is that if you invest your time, your resources into interview prep, you'd want to have some outcomes. You would want to connect them, a business mindset. If you want, there's many other reasons why, best candidates don't apply here, but long story short, focus on trust, because your competition will likely not be the best. But if they don't trust you, then when it's simply game over with these things. And one of the better ways to earn their trust would be to stop bluffing as much and not necessarily sell yourself in an interview, but rather be truthful about this, right? And the last thing I want to talk about here, what happens in these types, especially nowadays, why it's maybe not the best approach to apply for jobs, is because expectations are that if you take an interview seriously and you prepare for it, you'd expect the interviewer to be of high quality, right? So a high quality interviewer, will be a high performing employee most likely. And what happens is they might be on vacation during this time of the year. So what happens is that it's not they will assign a bad interviewer to you, but what happens is, in my experience, they will delay the process as much as possible until they find someone who is, appropriate to interview you for the opportunity that you're looking for. So if you're going for these roles, especially during this period of the year, during the summer time, the year, you should expect delays, you should expect unreliable scheduling. Again, because the context is that their best interviewers might not be available. They're simply going to be on vacation, right? So overall, as I said in the beginning of this video, there's still opportunities, there's still great opportunities that you could pursue. It's just that you have to dive a little bit deeper to maybe build a little bit of a network to spot those opportunities and eventually to cut through the screening process more easily. Also, you must focus a little bit more on the trust aspect, because your competition is not the best candidates who will dominate this type of market. And the third point would be to expect delays, because this period of the year is a bit special, right? So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.